Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to cut and sew this beautiful dress. I remove 5 inches from my tape and I measure half length 17 inches plus 1 inch to sew. Remember, I fold my material into 4. I measure chest 6.5 inches. I remove 5 inches from my tape and I measure 9.5 inches for armhole. Bust is 48 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. Waist is 38 inches divided by 4 plus to sew that. I mark armhole. I will cut. I measure 4.5 inches to sew that. So I'm going to cut the down part. I fold my material into 2 just like the 17 inches. I fold into 2 and I fold again into 4. I mark back 2 inches for zip. I mark 2 inches on the back for zip, just like the 17 inches I just finished cutting. So I place the front on top where I mark. So I'm going to remove 17 inches from my tape. This is the half length. I will remove 17 inches from my tape and measure full length 60 inches plus the remaining one to sew. So I measure 11 inches from waist down. This is hip. Waist is 38 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance and to sew that. Hip is 50 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. I will place my tape on the waist and measure down 22 inches before nail. I will measure 46 inches divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. I will mark this way. You can see it's not straight. So on the down part, I will measure 2 inches. I'm going to trim the 2 inches off. So you can see it's not straight down. So I trim the 2 inches off. This is the half length. So this is the lining. I'm going to cut the sleeve. I fold into 4 and I will mark 1.5 inch on top and 1.5 inch on the down part. So the measurement of the sleeve is 16 inches. So I'm going to fold like this and sew. Before that, I'm going to use the one I just cut, that is the half length, to cut the armhole. This is the armhole. So I will fold like this and sew the 1.5 inch on the top and 1.5 inch on the down part. So I iron. So on the top, I use the same material as the lining for the back and on the front. So what I'm going to do now is to sew that. I fold this way. I'm going to measure 1.5 inch this way and sew up to waist, 1.5 inch tiny on the bust parts and sew down to the waist. So I'm done sewing for the back. I'm going to sew 1 inch on the back as the dart. So for the sleeve, I just add elastic. I sew elastic. So I measure 10 inches. I'm going to sew past this elastic on the down part for the round sleeve. I measure 10 inches for the round sleeve elastic, and for the top I measure 8 inches. So I will fold this way and sew this the armhole just like this. I'm done sewing this. So this is how it looks like, and this is the armhole. I'm done sewing that on the top. This is the front. You can see the way the bust part looks like. So I'm going to sew the back and the front together now on the side. So after doing that, I will sew the sleeve on it. I'm done sewing the two sides, and I sew one sleeve. I'm going to sew the second sleeve. So this is how I'm going to sew the sleeve on it. This is the armhole to the blouse and the sleeve. So after doing that, I will start with the down part. I measure 4.5 inches to sew that. So this is the elastic. I'm done sewing. This is how it looks like. So on the down part, I've already sewed the back, and I leave some inches on the back for zip. I'm done sewing that. So what I'm going to do now is to sew the two sides. I will measure waist 38 inches, hip 50 inches, and before nail 46 inches, and I will sew all the way down the two sides. So after doing that, I will join the waist. I'm done sewing the two sides, and I hem the bottom. So I'm going to sew the waist now of the half length and of the down part. I place the center together where I notch for the top and the down parts, just like this. I'm going to sew all the way to the back where I will sew zip on. So I'm done sewing. I'm going to sew the lining on it to cover up the rough parts. I'm going to sew a plaint. After doing that, I will bring the lining to the back. So I will plaint on the waist. So I'm done sewing. You can see I plaint on the waist, and this is how it looks like on the back. So the lining is covering the rough sewing. This is how it looks like. So I'm going to sew zip now. So I'm done sewing zip on the back. So I'm going to sew this rope on the chest to tie on the back. I measure 4 inches by 28 inches, two piece. So this is how I'm going to place it and sew. I will hold with pin and take to my machine and stitch down. So after sewing, that will be the final look. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new here, please subscribe and remember the notification bell. In that way, you'll be notified each time I upload a video. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment section. So this is how it's going to look like. So this is the final look. Thank you so much guys for watching.